Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Pause and Effect. I'm your host, CJ, and joining me this week are my good friends, Julie and Andrea. How's everyone doing?
Doing pretty
Doing
well, man. How
well.
about you?
Pretty good, pretty good. I know you guys are enthusiasts about this franchise and definitely probably have far more positive things to say about this game than I do, so I'm happy to have you both. This week, we are talking about The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, a Bethesda title that has been ported to everything under the sun. Still a solid experience nonetheless, however. When you hear the name of the game, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Like, what are your initial impressions?
I guess freedom is probably the first word that comes to mind. It's the quintessential Western RPG. You create your own character, you do whatever you want, whenever you want. That's just the idea that's at the core of this game and really the franchise as a whole.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I also think of just, along with going with freedom, I always think of like, it's just open world. Like Andrea said, you can literally do what you want whenever you want. You can be who you want to be, and it has consequences. So I think that's really cool too. I don't think a lot of games really have like the consequences of like your actions in the game. So if you choose one route, like it severely impacts the other people that you interact with in the game as well. So I think that's also a super cool thing that I really like about Skyrim.
I think the first thing for me that pops into my mind when I think about Skyrim is shenanigans, because there's all sorts of fun little things that you can find and fun things to do and random stuff, but there's also just the bugs you encounter in the game can be so fun sometimes.
That is true. That is true.
Or just like watching your character get ragdolled into the sky after fighting a giant and failing.
Oh
Yeah, you
yeah.
mean like the first 5 seconds of the game,
Yeah,
travel
exactly.
outside Whiterun, you're just like, oh, look, a giant, I can beat this thing, and then it just like launches you to the moon. You're like, oh, okay, that's the thing that happens now. So.
Was that supposed to happen? Like
Exactly. So, what's your favorite version of this game? PlayStation, Xbox, PC, Switch? Which do you prefer?
Well, I actually just started playing it on the Switch when the pandemic happened. So I'm finding it very enjoyable on the Switch. So I'm like still a noob at this game, but I enjoy it on the Switch a lot. It's a lot of fun. A lot of the context is still the same, I'm assuming. The only downside is that you can't mod on the Switch because the Switch won't allow it. Like it just like apparently it voids the warranty on it. So if your Switch breaks, you can't do anything with it. So that's the only downside that I have. But I enjoy it on the Switch a lot.
Because you have the Switch version, don't you have like Link's outfit from Breath of the Wild and the Master Sword and the Hylian shield and all that?
Yes.
How do those
Oh
work?
my God. Dude, okay, so it was so crazy when I found it. You have to go to Throne of the World to go get it. And
Oh,
it's in like the actual chest from Breath of the Wild. So it's like the white with the gold lining on it, and then you just open it, and then it's got the champion's tunic, the master sword, and the Hylian shield. And I was just like, yo. So it's basically just modded gear. I want to say the master sword is actually just a steel sword to make it look like the master sword.
oh well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, although it doesn't have very high ratings in terms of like damage and stuff, but they're really cool looking. And I believe the champion's tunic also doubles as light armor. But if you have any of the houses that you build, like Winstead Manor or Lakeview Manor, if you try and put the Hylian shield and the Master Sword on like the shield rack, it just completely messes up. It's like so off center, it looks bad. So
Oh,
I
darn.
just keep it in my one of my wardrobes. I'm just like, I'll just leave you in there. It's fine. I don't need you. But yeah, cool little tidbit in that one. I got so excited because I'm also a big Breath of the Wild fan too. So when I saw that, I was just like, oh my God, this is so great. I need this.
that's
So
pretty rad. I actually had no idea the Switch version had that.
yeah. It blew my mind. I was like, I didn't realize this was actually in here. This is so cool. So I was like going around trying to see if I could find like any other like nuances of like Breath of the Wild in there, and that was the only one I could see. So
Yeah, well, that's not bad all the same, despite the obvious bugginess of the skin of it.
yeah, we won't talk about that.
Yeah. Andrea, what about you? What version do you prefer?
I would say PC. I bought Skyrim on launch. I went to the midnight release when that was still, sort of like a big thing.
Oh, nice.
And I got that, I think, for the 360. And I put my time in that. And then I eventually, when I got a good enough gaming PC, I kind of moved over to that. So I would say PC is the quintessential experience because of the mods. That's really about it. It really doesn't get better than the Macho Man Randy Savage dragons. Like it really doesn't. Those and I think the Game Grumps kind of got me into like the fart noises when you use the dragon shouts. Like you can change the animation so that like you bend over and you basically like fart out the breaths and it makes like a farting sound.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
So that, I mean, really the mods are kind of what make the game. So I would say PC, 100%.
I absolutely love that.
I definitely want to get into that at some point. I spent a lot of time playing the PS3 version, although I own the PS4 version, which has some degree of mod support. I just haven't played it. Although, funnily enough, I got my Skyrim copy on PS3 for free. How that worked was one of my college roommates, who I don't know if he's like still out there in the world and doing well. I hope he is. But at one point when winter break was ending and he was visiting his family in Australia and had to catch a connecting flight from somewhere in England to come back to the States, he decided to impulse buy a PS3 with Skyrim. And when he transferred out at the end of the year to go to Berkeley for the next year, he said, you know what? I don't know what I'm going to do with this PS3, but you like Skyrim so much, CJ, so I'm leaving this to you. And I'm like, oh, damn, thank you.
That's a nice little gift.
Yeah, and so that's how I got Skyrim for free. Funnily enough, it's the British version, but it still plays on American PS3s because I don't think region locking on PS3 was a thing yet. Not until PS4.
Well, yeah, you're right.
But yeah, that's the funny little story of how I ended up playing and liking Skyrim. But But moving on, what's your favorite build that you use to run through the game and why?
I don't even know where to begin with that, honestly. I think I always I always preferred like straight up warrior types, not even tanks. I just like to be able to basically deal as much damage as possible. So, very generic kind of build in that sense. As far as like types of armor and stuff, I was never really picky. I mean, I'm always the kind of guy who like constantly changes characters. So I always tried out light armor, heavy armor. I never really had a preference. I think eventually I really took to dual wielding. Like it feels like no matter what character I make, I usually tend to do like a sort of battle mage sort of offense, let's call it. So especially with conjuration. So like I would wield like a sword in one hand and like conjure summon spirits with like another. And usually that's kind of how I like to play the game. And it just kind of made things a little bit more frenetic, which kind of made things more fun for me. I didn't like magic too much in Skyrim. Generally speaking, it just wasn't very exciting. I mean, most battles, I guess, just devolved into holding R2 or whatever button and just kind of, hoping for the best. So I kind of stayed away from magic for the most part, but that was kind of my preference. Yeah.
I'm kind of the same. I feel like no matter what kind of run I was doing, I would always end up devolving into having a weapon user, but always using a conjuration magic to summon my weapons instead of holding on to everything just because like there's less weight involved. And I always remember grabbing and like mastering weapons as much as I could until I was able to get the items or scrolls, I forget what it is, necessary to learn like summon one-handed weapons, summon two-handed weapons, summon bow, and then I would just use those for the rest of the game, at least until I got the Daedric weapons. Like Mesa Moloch Ball was always my favorite.
Yeah,
that is my go-to weapon. That's my go-to weapon. I hate going to Markarth, but I will go straight to that abandoned house and be like, yes, let me do this quest.
Oh my god, I love
get my favorite weapon.
Yes. It's just like, oh, you try to leave the house. You can't. Oh, I have to kill this priest just to unlock the best looking weapon in the game.
I always really liked I think it's Maroon's dagger.
Oh, Maroon's razor, yeah.
Oh yeah, thanks.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Yeah, that weapon always, for some reason, I always gravitated towards that. It's really cool, super fast.
Yeah, that was the one where you had to go to like the top of that mountain, right? And like once you like put it together, like doesn't something summons like two Daedra, and I'm just like, whoa, what is happening? Who are these guys? They look really tough, and I don't know what's happening. I was like a level 37 when I did it for the first time, and I was just like, oh my god, I'm gonna get my ass kicked by this. Like I don't know. I was like ingesting healing potions like crazy because I was like, I am not a high enough level to be dealing with these guys right now.
Didn't that quest begin in like a museum in some sort of like really small winter town?
Dawnstar.
That's right.
Yeah. Either that or I think you just had to find a piece somewhere. Didn't matter where.
Yeah, my first playthrough, I found like the shards of Mabron's razor, and I was just like, what is this? And then I was like trying to get it out of my inventory, and it was just like, you cannot unequip quest items. I was like, oh no, now I have to go find whatever this is. And I was like constantly on like IGN and like Skyrim wiki. I was just like, what is this that I've just picked up? It's not telling me anything about it. And it took me like 6 months to finally figure it out. I was like, oh, this is something I actually have to go find pieces to. Okay.
And then there's the one like nobody can forget, the Wabbajack.
Ah, literally the best one. I love that so much.
Yeah, just shake it or like hit with it like, oh, my enemy has turned into a chicken. That's amazing.
Yeah, isn't that the one that you get from the Daedric Prince?
Yeah. I can't remember his name, but
Sheogorath, right?
oh, yes.
Yeah, he's insane, and I love it.
There's a lot of shenanigans to be had no matter what kind of build you're running.
Yeah, that's true.
Other than builds and anything else, like what else would you guys say you like about the game?
I kind of just like the side quests that you get, like the little storylines that kind of pop up. Like if you go to Rorikstead and you meet Eric, and he was just like, I want to leave this place, but my dad won't let me. Can you like go talk to him? And you go talk to him, and you convince him to like let his son go be an adventurer. And then you leave, and then you come back, and then it's Eric the Slayer. And I'm like, that's actually super cute. Like you can actually like interact with the NPCs and like actually like change their lives in a way. I think that's just super cool. And I don't know, that's one thing I really also enjoy about Skyrim is just interacting with all of these NPCs, and they give you like major questline stuff, side quests. They give you some pretty cool loot too sometimes, and that's also just really cool. That's what I like about it.
Actually, I do agree with that. I kind of want to expound on that myself because my gripe with Skyrim and with Western RPGs in general, it sort of is the fact that because they focus on kind of giving you freedom to do what you want. These games tend to feel samey to me. Like dungeons are all the same, or like 99% the same. The whole world feels the same. That kind of thing. And the reason I start with that is because one of Skyrim's strengths to sort of make up for that is the fact that they did such a good job with NPCs, their personalities, and the random quest lines, because those tended to actually be very diverse and sort of flesh out the world when the world itself couldn't really do it, for lack of a better way to say it. What I wish, sorry, let me start over. I did like the guild quests, like with the companions and whatnot. The companions was definitely one of the best ones. The Dark Brotherhood is probably the best one out of all of those. And those were cool because they were all like very unique in a sense, right? The companions were sort of like the warrior guild. The Dark Brotherhood was just like a bunch of assassins. You had a mage guild. They all kind of had their place. They all were unique. Their guild members all had like very sort of unique personalities that kind of lent itself to very, I would say, interesting quest lines. So Skyrim definitely, if there's one thing it does right, it's quests. It's NPC personalities, and it sort of makes up for, I think, the weaknesses of sort of the genre as a whole. That's just my opinion, but it definitely does a good job of that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. And also sometimes it like the quests themselves also just kind of bug out. And then I think I have currently, because I was playing Skyrim before this, I currently have my game pulled up, but like I have 3 or 4 quests right now that I can't complete because the game glitched. So I was just like, okay. So the infiltration one where you have to go like get this guy's castle back or whatever, and it's like, oh, you have to go in there and then you have to pull the lever to open the gate. Well, I did that, and they're still sitting out by the campfire, and I'm like, hi guys, your castle's wide open, come take it back, do your thing. And then there's like, we have to get inside, go do this thing. And I'm like, I've done that, I've reloaded 3 times now, and I've done the same thing, go in the castle. And they're like, we have to get in the castle. I'm like, that's fine. That's fine.
I think they fixed it. I think they fixed it a while ago, but wasn't there a bug? And I think it was that Daedric quest in Markarth. Wasn't there a quest where you went inside a house and you ended up being locked in there if you saved? Does that sound familiar? Like I remember there was like a huge bug in Markarth, which might have been that Daedric quest. It was like if you saved at a certain point, either you couldn't continue the quest or like you got locked inside a house and couldn't get out or some shit like that.
Oh, that's terrifying.
I'm trying to, but that was like they fixed that a long time ago. But I remember like out the gate, that was like one of the most egregious glitches in the game. Yeah, they can be fun until they like actually lock you out of the game, and then and
Yeah.
then it's not so fun.
I feel like that's a huge thing with Bethesda games. It's more like you come across or like you go and there's this like huge bug that just prevents you from progressing. I remember playing Fallout 3 one time and some kind of bug prevented me from fast traveling no matter what I did.
Oh, that's a pain.
Yeah.
If I recall, though,
Oh.
Fallout 76 was a very clean game, right?
You wish.
Could you imagine? I feel so badly for people who spent money on that.
Yeah, and thinking that it was going to be the greatest thing since toilet paper.
Dude, like when they announced that at conventions, and like I was rewatching a few videos not too long ago of at conventions when they announced Fallout 76 and people just like reacting so positively, like all this excitement. And just in hindsight, now you just think, oh my God, these poor souls. They didn't.
I mean, you know for a fact that all those people that were cheering were all Bethesda employees.
Yeah. Somebody had to hype the game up.
Yeah, somebody like all you had to do was go like Todd Howard and the internet would go nuts.
They still
And
do.
now everyone goes nuts and wants to kill him because, you know, he hasn't come out with Elder Scrolls 6 yet, and there's absolutely no other like information. There's like a 25-second like trailer of like just a giant crater. I'm like, that's it. That's all we get. Hello, I need
As I
more.
always like to say, Todd Howard, you son of a bitch, you've done it again.
just like Atlas when it comes to Shin Megami Tensei. Let's announce a game and then go silent for 3 years.
Oh God, don't remind me.
Yeah, oh my God, like Shin Megami Tensei 5, the fact that it's actually coming out is just
in less than
words.
In less than 2 months too.
Yeah, words don't cannot express my happiness.
Yeah.
Or with like just the entire Nintendo team with Breath of the Wild 2, and I'm just like, hi, still here waiting for more information. It's been a while.
Yeah, they're just like, oh, we don't want to reveal the title yet. It's a huge spoiler. I'm like, dude, come on. Like, what can you possibly spoil?
It's obviously going to be Breath of the Wild 2 rehydrated Ganon. That's what it's going to be. That's what it's going to be. You can't tell me I'm wrong.
You are probably not wrong. But yeah, getting a little back on topic. No, I'd say we touched a lot upon like what we don't like about Skyrim. So I'm probably just going to skip over that question. I would say the thing that I liked about Skyrim is just the environment rendering itself. Like just looking at the game, it always just looks like so nice, so vibrant. And then when it gets dark, it's like I can't see shit. What's going on? But then I remember like the thing that always stuck out to me about the environment rendering was, I think maybe the first or the second time I played it, I was somewhere outside Whiterun in the middle of the night. I don't remember specifically where, but I happened to look up and there's just all sorts of like auroras and neat looking northern lights in the sky. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing. Like they spared little to no expense making this game look graphically sound. And of course, if a game looks graphically sound now, you think to yourself, oh God, what kind of bad gameplay experience am I in for? But despite that, it still looked really nice and that still stuck with me.
Oh my God, I wish if I could show you right now just the album I have on my Switch. It is mostly pictures of the auroras in different locations. Like I have some in the city of Whiterun. I have some over in Gilmarch by Solitude, and then I have some from Solstheim. And like literally that's just all my Switches is either, you know, the auroras or really pretty scenes with like the sunrise or the sunset, and just videos of me doing amazing like cross cam kill shots with my freaking bow and arrow. That's basically
nice.
it. But yeah, just the environment is just, it's so beautiful. It's so real, so like you mentioned, vibrant. It's just, I think that's also what kind of just entranced me with Skyrim, is that the scenery is just so beautiful. Like the water actually looks like water. Like it washes up a little bit sometimes, but you know, other than that, it blows me away every time I play. So I'm just like,
yeah, I mean, like even after 10 years, even after 10 years, it's still such a nice looking game. And then if I had to say something I don't like, it would be the soundtrack. Now, don't get me wrong, like it's still excellent sounding. I still love the sound of it. However, you'd be hard pressed to listen to Skyrim's soundtrack and call it like video game music. I'll be the one to say it. It's not video game music, it's film scoring. Don't at me.
Yes. No, I was about to come to your house and take your door down for saying that, but when you said that it was like film score music, that is exactly what it is. Like it's very some of the songs are also very soft. Like it's calming music. You're just like, okay, I'm walking through wherever I'm walking and it's like nothing around me. And it's just this nice calm music. And then when you get to like the dungeons, you're just like, okay, I don't like this soundtrack or the sound effects that are going on in here because it's very creepy and I don't like it.
I mean, atmospherically, it definitely works, but as game music, like this is just film scoring.
Oh yeah, I
I
listen
make
to
that
it
argument all
every
the
day.
time too with stuff like Horizon Zero Dawn, The Last of Us, Uncharted, Ghost of Tsushima. Like it would fit a film better than it would a video game. Not to say like it's not good music because it is, but it would fit a film better.
Well, Kason, I think you should direct the live action Skyrim film. So
Is there really going to be a live action Skyrim film?
no, but I really wish there was at this point.
I mean, I'm sure there's probably something in the works. We are on Skyrim's 10th anniversary.
Jason Momoa as Dragonborn.
Jesus Christ.
Oh my God!
Oh wait.
Yes.
Wait, I thought you said Jason Bourne for a second, and my mind defaulted to that.
Yeah, well, where's Matt Damon when you need him?
Listen,
Arguing with Jimmy Kimmel.
Just imagine Jason Momoa just saying all of the themes, just all of the shouts, just all of them. Just like, yes, I can get behind this now. I will wholeheartedly pour every dollar I have into go seeing this movie.
I will say this too. I do like the shouts, but a lot of them are so useless.
Yeah, for the most
Depending
part.
on which one.
I don't know. I feel like the only useful ones are Fusro Da, the Dash one, the Fire Breath one, and sometimes the Ice Breath one, because otherwise, all the rest of them I feel like are far too situational to be like wholeheartedly conventionally useful in like all situations.
I think Dragon Rend is useful enough though. I mean, you find dragons just enough where you always want that one handy to bring him down.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if you do that, you can also ride the dragon too. If it's, I can't remember, is it Bend Will or is it Dragon Rend that brings down the dragon? It's Dragon Rend, right?
Dragon Rend, yeah.
Okay, yeah. That one allows you to ride the dragons too, right? Because I know
I believe so, yeah.
I would say, because I know when I played my first run through, I was on Souls Time and an ancient dragon attacked me outside of one of the dwarven ruins by Tel Mithryn. And I was able to ride that dragon. I was like, this is weird. I don't like this. Like, it's cool to ride the dragon, but the mechanics of it were really weird. Like, it wasn't, like, you couldn't actually control the dragon. The dragon just, moved the little cursor, like, left, right. That's it. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, not as exciting, not as great as you would think it would be, right?
Yeah.
Like the idea of it is cool, but outside of that, it's just like, the execution is flawed.
Yeah. Well, also, I just have a quick question. So, when are we getting fishing in the game? Because I kind of want to go fishing in this game.
Actually, so the funny thing is, and it gets into this next question. Skyrim is celebrating its 10th anniversary this year, and Bethesda is releasing yet another port of the game to include fishing and further mod support. So that's actually coming out on November 11th.
I knew that was coming out. I had no idea they were including fishing. That's
yeah.
No, but I was just gonna say, does that really justify like re-releasing the game again though?
Does anything that Bethesda does
just to add fishing and future mod support. It's also to like update the game for like PS5 and Series X with like a free upgrade, I think. Or I don't know if it's free. But here's a funny question. In the sense that future ports of this game beyond the anniversary edition are inevitable, what else do you think they could add to this game?
That's a good question. Honestly, I have no idea off the top of my head. Maybe more combat options, I would say. I mean, I wouldn't know what, but maybe more weapon types, like maybe add like spears or something, make that like a whole new fighting style. That would probably make me consider buying a new version if they just kind of added more combat options. Otherwise, I'm not really sure.
I don't know. I'm kind of more in line with more bigger quest lines, kind of like the DLC pack for like Dawnguard. Like that was a pretty lengthy quest line you had to do, depending on which side you chose, either the vampires or the Dawnguard. I kind of like bigger quests like that. Like the main quest line, going and defeating Alduin, that one felt kind of short to me because people are saying like, oh yeah, that's like the end of the game. Once you defeat Alduin, like that's it. That's the whole major quest line. I was like, that's it, really? And they're like, yeah. I mean, you've got like the Dawn Guard, you've got Hearthfire where you build all the houses, and I'm just like, okay, but like anything bigger, kind of like Dawn Guard, anything bigger than that would be something that I would definitely pay money for.
I'd definitely be interested in double or triple dipping if they added more like DLC campaigns like that.
Yeah, I'm really big into doing like big quest lines because I just like getting the story and the lore behind it. And sometimes you get some pretty cool, stuff out of the end of it. Like right now I have all 3 of the freaking Elder Scrolls that I can't get rid of, and I've finished the Dawn Guard quest line, and I'm just like, okay, now I have 60 pounds that I have nothing to do with anymore because it's there and it won't let me get rid of the Sun, Dragon, and Blood Elder Scroll. I'm like, I don't know what to do with this now. It's just
Fair
here.
enough.
Yeah, and like the frustrating thing about the main quest for me, because like it was, it had its moments, and then you defeat Alduin, and it's just that's it, right? Like nothing changes in Skyrim after that. Like you have all the dragons kind of like celebrating or just reacting to Alduin's death.
Mm-hmm.
And like the rest of Skyrim might as well not even have noticed that like anything happened, right? I kind of wish there was like some reaction from the world, like even if not just physically, like I kind of wish that, maybe NPCs react differently. Maybe there were like certain unique quests that you could only do after you defeat Alduin, or after you play the main quest, or at least more of them. It's just I wish there was like some payoff to finishing the main quest, and because it wasn't interesting enough by itself to really make it feel worth it, at least in my opinion. So maybe, making some changes to what happens in Skyrim after completing the main quest would be a welcome addition, but like that would understandably take a lot of time. And at that point, I might as well just wait for Elder Scrolls 6 instead.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and I would say there's only like one very minor change that happens actually in Skyrim after you defeat Alduin. If you haven't gone to Soul Summon, if you haven't started, I forget what quest that is, but going and meeting Mirak for the first time. If you haven't defeated Alduin before you meet him in Apocrypha for the first time through the Black Book, his dialogue actually changes. But it's only like a couple lines where like if you haven't defeated Alduin, he's just like, oh, you don't know what the true power of the Dragonborn is. But then if you do defeat him and you meet him for the first time, he's like, so you have slain the World Eater. You still don't know the true power of the Dragonborn. I was like, wow, that's it? That's the only change there is.
Wow.
One line, ridiculous.
Thanks, Todd.
Like, I took an arrow in the knee for this. What are you doing?
Yeah, so in the meanwhile, compared to like having Skyrim for 10 years, we do have the Elder Scrolls 6 on the horizon, as we did discuss before. It's said to actually go into development after Starfield releases, which is sometime next year. I forget specifically when. Do you have any hopes for Elder Scrolls 6, considering we know next to nothing about it?
I mean, I've got some pretty big hopes for it. From the trailer that I've watched, it just looks like it's going to be not better than Skyrim, but, better than Skyrim, but it has better mechanics, I should say. Obviously, the graphics look much better, but then also that was just a trailer, so they definitely could have, fixed that up. I just hope that a lot of the bugs are fixed, even though that's what makes Bethesda. Their crashes and their bugs and all the funky stuff that happens with like gravity and whatnot. So I don't know. I'm just kind of excited to find this new storyline because like I haven't played any of the other games. I haven't played Oblivion. I haven't played Morrowind. Skyrim was the first one that I played of Bethesda's work. And I'm like, this is actually pretty good from what I've started playing. So I am very, very excited for just Elder Scrolls 6 to come out. Hopefully by the time, I'm like 30.
Hopefully before we all rot away into dust.
Right. Hopefully before we all become droggers and just start wandering in random dungeons.
Exactly.
Yeah, I gotta say, I don't really have many expectations myself. I mean, I started with Oblivion, and then I played Skyrim, and I don't know. I mean, my plan for 6 is, not to buy it on release, just kind of keep my eye on it, just see how it turns out, and sort of make my decision from there. But I'm definitely looking forward to more information for sure. And if I do end up getting it, of course it'll be on PC because I'm the disgusting master race now, and I'm buying like 90% of my games on PC.
Yeah, no, I don't really have expectations either. I'm just very curious to see what direction it goes in, because we had Skyrim, which took a lot of inspiration and a lot of theming from Norse mythology. So with Elder Scrolls 6, I'm thinking, what could they possibly draw from in order to make its world? I'm very curious to see that. And also what location it takes place in. Could be like something we've seen before or something that's been referenced before. I remember seeing comments when that first trailer came out. Everybody seemed to think that the game was going to take place in Hammerfell, and I'm not 100% certain about that. But it could very well be a new place, or it could be Hammerfell or another older place. I don't know.
Yeah, Hammerfell would be pretty cool. If I'm not mistaken, was Hammerfell the location of the first Elder Scrolls?
I don't remember actually.
But yeah, that would be pretty cool. I wouldn't mind revisiting Elsewhere, which was the location of the second game, because that's also a land that's like heavily populated by dragons. So like if since obviously Skyrim is a very popular game, I wouldn't be surprised if they went back to Elsewhere. That way they could kind of keep dragons as like a main sort of world event, so to speak.
Yeah, but would they even use dragons again?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, obviously they wouldn't be like a central focus as with Skyrim, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were still sort of around as like, at least as like a big boss or something.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. And also, isn't Elsewhere, isn't that where the Khajiit are from? Like, isn't that their...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it like a desert, if I'm recalling correctly? Because I'm just trying to like remember like what the different races say like when you first encounter them. I know that when you encounter like Khajiit out in like the wild and stuff, they'll be like they talk about their home and how they miss like the warm sands, and I'm like, is it like a desert or is it just like water, like a beach kind of? Because I'm getting like both vibes from that.
So Hammerfell is desert.
Okay.
Elsewhere, I mean, this is just going off of what I remember from Elder Scrolls Online. Elsewhere is more like a mesa, like red sort of prairie outland kind of.
Okay, that makes sense.
But there's some to that note, there's like some greenery. Like it's not barren per se. Yeah. It's just more. Yeah, that's the best way I can describe it.
It's like the deserts you see in Red Dead Redemption 2, almost.
Okay.
I think that's what.
That's a better visual.
I mean, I don't 100% know. I never played the second game, but that's just the impression I get. But yeah, that's all the time we have. Before we go, do you guys have anything you want to plug or shout out before we finish up?
No, I guess not. I guess I just want to say, I was just thinking back to when we were talking about a live action Skyrim. That just gave me an image in my head of like Jason Momoa looking up at the camera and like this looming shadow kind of growing bigger and bigger. And then it switches the camera to the dragon and it's Macho Man Randy Savage. And I'm like, you know what? If that was a movie, I would totally pay money to watch it.
Just a dragon doing a dragon shout, and all you hear is, "Oh yeah!"
Dude, hell yeah!
I can't get that image out of my head.
I would so triple down on a PC version just so I can play a mod for that.
Yeah, but thank you for having us on this podcast. It was
absolutely nice. I loved having you guys.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. This is my first podcast I've ever done with someone, so this is awesome. Thanks again, Kason. I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. I'd love to have you guys on future episodes, and if you guys have suggestions for episodes, please let me know.
Sure thing, dude.
Yeah, definitely.
And also, one thing I want to shout out real quick, please look into or potentially play, for all the viewers out there, a game called The Forgotten City. It started as a Skyrim mod, and then the guy got grants from Microsoft and I think somewhere else to make it its own game, and now it just released at the end of July for Steam and I think other PC platforms and Xbox and the Xbox Game Pass. Go check it out. It looks absolutely amazing. I have not played it myself yet, but I'll let people know. And that's our show. Tune in next time where we talk about Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Thank you everyone so much for listening. Take care.